Yeah, a news story just came out about Al Sharpton, good old Al Sharpton, about the fact that he was an FBI informant, snitching on the likes of Don King, the Chin Gigante, this guy who used to walk around in his bathrobe to make everybody think he was crazy, and other mobsters and other people that I guess they were looking to take down, because he apparently got caught in a drug deal and he used this as leverage to get his ass off the hook. The story really doesn't surprise me. Being about Al Sharpton doesn't surprise me. But I just want to give you a little history on Al Sharpton, and then you can question whether he's somebody who should even be considered a black leader or not. Al Sharpton's career started back in the 80s during a trial of Tawana Brawley, police officer, and a few other people up in Wappingers Falls who were accused of raping Tawana Brawley and then leaving her covered in feces. Al Sharpton took on the case, as that was his very first activist case that he took. And along with him were two other attorneys, C. Vernon Mason and the other Alton Marnox. What strikes me funny, and always did strike me funny, is that after the Tawana Brawley case was over and it was proven to be a hoax, there wasn't enough evidence to convict Pagonis, who was the police officer who was accused of the rape. But after the trial, and after the whole media blitz with this particular case, C. Vernon Mason gets disbarred, and they claim that it was for misrepresenting many other of his clients over a 9-year period. Alton Maddox also gets disbarred of, supposedly other cases, but in particular how the case was handled in the Tawana Brawley case. And the only person who gets off scot-free out of the three who were actually representing and ginning up this whole case back in the 80s was Al Sharpton. If you know anything about the streets, when something goes down and several people get locked up, there's always a possibility where one's going to snitch on the other, and you can always tell who's the one who's doing the snitching, because if you have a co-defendant and you and this co-defendant get locked up, now your co-defendant ends up doing 20 years and you get out in a year and a half, 2 years. Clearly, we know what happened. You ratted the other guy out, and you cooperated with and turned state's evidence to get him out. And basically, they give you rewards. They reward you for your cooperation by lowering your sentence. Now, not only did these other two guys lose their livelihood because of this case, you would think that at that point, based on that, Al Sharpton would be damaged goods and nobody would want to touch him from that point on. But no, he becomes a lot more popular. He becomes more popular over the years. He takes on the cases in the bombing test, the test bombing that they were doing out in Vieques. He takes on Abnu Luima case. He takes on all of these Amadou Diallo, all these cases, Sean Bell. And the funny thing about it is that name me one black activist ever who you've ever known who has pissed off the establishment, meaning the white power that be. Name me one activist who's pissed these people off and then has been offered a television show, given the keys to the city, and he can basically do no wrong in the eyes of the same establishment. It doesn't happen. So that clearly tells me that he is in on it with them. And this is something that I knew for years, but it just so happens that now, since he's been exposed for being a rat and a snitch, that now clearly he's pissed the wrong person off now, because now they're outing him. And this is the person who you claim to be your black leader, or to represent you and to represent your rights in New York City. That clearly should tell you something about who these so-called black leaders are. I've never heard of anybody pissing off the establishment and all of a sudden being offered a TV show. Was Malcolm X offered a TV show? Was Martin Luther King offered a TV show? Was he the darling of the world at the time when he was alive? Actually, he was a thorn in the side, and the reason why he actually ended up probably getting killed wasn't because he was sitting here defending black people. It was because he got out of his square and started really agitating the real issues at the time, which was Vietnam and poverty, not just for black people, but for everybody. And then at that point, they realized, you know what, this guy has gone too far. If he's willing to turn state's evidence or to snitch and to wear a wire to take other people down, how is it this is the person you trust to speak in your best interest? He's speaking in his own best interest, because he is the only, not only is he the only one who survived this whole Tawana Brawley case, he's the one who thrived in spite of that case. And that clearly tells you is that the establishment was rewarding him for working for them. Now, when you look at him on MSNBC, and he says that he would never, ever, ever criticize Obama publicly, why the fuck would anybody listen to him? Why would you stupid people even waste your time listening to him? He's not working in your best interest. He's working in his own best interest. And it's clear that he pissed somebody off this time around, because FBI informants aren't outed. They're protected. They're rewarded. And apparently he must have pissed somebody off now, because now they outed him. He's claiming that it was because these mobsters were threatening his life, and that he went to the feds to work out a deal with them because, you know, to protect him. But the bottom line was that he was caught in a drug sting. Mr. Reverend Al Sharpton, religious man, was caught in a drug deal. And to save his own ass, he turned state's evidence and wore a wire and started going around, because he was at that time, he was back in the 80s, he was at the top of his game. People were really falling for his bullshit. Now, he wears a wire and then starts mingling amongst all the people who he claims were his friends to snitch on them and to take them down. Now, this is not a person with any kind of integrity. I'm finally glad that he's been exposed to be the fraud that he's always been. And I've always known that he was. All the other people who were involved with that case are in ruin. And you are flourishing in the same atmosphere. Something's wrong. One other thing. Why is it that black people in particular, why do we need leaders? Why can't we independently think on our own to know what's best in our interest? We always have to have some crackpot asshole who sits here and represents us. He doesn't represent us. He represents himself. And the sooner black people get to understand that and know this, the sooner things will change, when you get up off your ass and change your situation yourself. Don't wait for some charlatan, some snake oil salesman to come along and say, well, listen, I got a solution. I can help you guys out. Only if you back me and give me donations. I would hope that you would finally get the message and realize that these so-called black leaders are only still here because they haven't pissed off the right people. And he is put in place to actually keep black people pacified, to keep people, feeding them hope. He's a hope peddler. That's what he does. He peddles hope. He never gives you a fucking result, but he always peddling, yeah, well, you know, next time it's going to be better. It's going to be a better situation next time. And if we keep on pushing and we keep on marching, we keep on whatever it is, we're going to get there. We're going to get there together. Bullshit. You get there, and you get there when you decide you've had enough, instead of waiting for some leader to represent you. And I'm hoping that you finally see this charlatan for what he is.